Good morning and thank you for joining us. It's Saturday morning, it's 9 o'clock and it's time for
Sunrise. I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning, and as you can see, she's Alero Edu, and she's right now looking at me because I can see that she's looking at me on the screen, and she has something to say about children this morning, 23 of them, I think.
Well, my partner has taken some cocoa this morning.
Oh, yes, I did.
He's feeling really, really good.
I did take cocoa.
Yes.
With honey, by the way, just so
yes, that thing about 23 children, and I'm counting because my goal is 30 children, and we're talking about population explosion in Nigeria, and we're talking about how many million children out of school? 13 million children out of school.
And counting.
And I remember when IBB in his time suggested that there should not be more than 4 children in a family. It was only a suggestion. Well.
But you know that then.
Well.
I don't know. We really do have numbers challenge. I think, even former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said something similar recently when he said, look, if we don't do something about the population, about 2025 or 2030 or thereabout, we're going to be 400 million people in this one geographical space called Nigeria. So how much, what we do with that, that's going to be, the issue. But you see, going by what you have hinted at, one human being taking care of 23 children and counting, expecting to hit 30 by what year did he even say? That's another matter altogether. I don't know. I think maybe some of us who are privileged to be in certain positions should be mindful of the things that we say because they have far-reaching implications. Well,
I hope we don't get to a point where, once upon a time, like China, they were only allowed 1 child. I hope we don't have these children, men who are planning to have 50 children and 100 children. They may drive us to a point where there will actually be legislation to the effect that you cannot have more than 2 children.
Well, there are those who have also suggested that China may have regrets about that policy now.
Well, the point now is that they don't even want to have children anymore.
So it's a
1 billion people.
It's a whole
one country.
It's a whole new. But even at that, in our own part of the country, have we even utilized half of our land space? You fly from time to time. You fly over Nigeria. You see, green spaces.
Greens, yes.
And then you see used up, habitable areas and all of that. You've heard the term ungoverned spaces in our country.
Yes.
It's only because, people we do not have people inhabiting those areas. So, what do we need to do to expand?
Why would people go and inhabit bushes?
I didn't hear that. Beg your pardon, could you say that again?
Why would people go and inhabit bushes? Apart from Sambisa.
The place where you are now, was it not a bush?
Well.
At some point.
Well, true.
So that's the thing.
It starts from somewhere.
It really does start from somewhere.
I'm talking about flying. Oh my God, our airport. Oh God, Minister of Aviation, please, where are you? I hope you're watching this morning. That place needs a big makeover. Or should we be thinking about building another international airport completely?
Which one are you talking about?
Murtala Muhammad International Airport, MMIA, as it is called.
In Lagos.
You come out of the airplane, you're going through immigration, and the almighty smell of wee-wee still, I had to close my eyes because I'm still thinking about what I went through. Still wee-wee slaps you and just hangs over you in an airport where the air conditioning is not working.
Whoa.
And you have come from local airports abroad, local airports, where everything is in order, the washrooms are clean, the air conditioning is working, the place is spotlessly clean, and you wonder, but our leaders go through these airports as well. So how can they stand to come through this airport and not feel like doing anything about it?
Are the airport workers on strike?
No, they're all there fanning themselves. And when you complain, they say, Madam, look my fan.
Wow.
You know, they're fanning themselves. I mean, that airport is a total embarrassment.
You know,
something needs to be done.
When I hear stuff like this, the first thing that comes to my own mind is, if we have a system that is working, do we really need the aviation minister to do anything? If we all have a sense of ownership, you know what I said? What you remember?
Promise to sack anybody who doesn't do their job.
Exactly. I mean, if there is a system in place that is working, that is efficient, would we even need to call the aviation minister? Remember, you know what I said earlier when you raised this issue for us to have a chat about. I said it's because there is a lack of a national vision.
Yes.
You remember that story about when, I think it was JFK that went to visit NASA. And I hear from that story, someone was just reminding me maybe about a week or two ago, that this fellow when the president went to the place, okay, he just saw a cleaner. So what are you doing here? So we're just cleaning this place to help get a man on the moon. A cleaner.
Look at the pride.
A cleaner saying, I'm cleaning this place to help get a man on the moon. He understands the vision. So what's the vision here? Well, I mean, if that is clear, that's a cleaner, for God's sake. He's not even a typist or whatever it is.
Cleaner.
Just a cleaner saying, I'm cleaning this place to help get a man on the moon.
Give us a vision.
Once there is a vision, we know
What's the
vision of FAAN, for instance, what's the vision of NCAA, what's the vision of Nigeria. Everybody will know that we are working towards that one thing. So cleaning the toilet will be a part of the process of achieving that vision.
And the toilet cleaner will make sure that that toilet is always clean.
For that vision to be achieved. So, I don't know.
Bon, bref, as they say in French. Yes. So what are we going to be talking about today?
Oh, well, we're going to start with one of the most prominent stories of the week. Fuel subsidy. That's going to be the number one item on the menu this morning. Sorry.
I saw the governor of Lagos State on Sunrise yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was, I felt proud at a few things that he spoke about. Of course, the main thing being the red line, even though it's not coming on stream until later this year.
Well, at least it is coming on stream, finally.
Thank God.
Don't forget that it started in the 80s. 82, 83.
And it was ditched.
But then we will not be needing fuel subsidy for the rail lines.
Yes, and then we will talk about HIV Trust Fund.
And then, of course, we'll focus on this funny issue of vehicle inspection in Lagos. Find out what that is about later today.
God, I can't wait to talk about that one.
Well, you have to wait until the third.
And then we'll talk about the Eko Excel initiative.
And, of course, we will have the artist of the week.
As usual.
A he or a she?
I think it's a shim today.
Shim. Okay.
Oh, it's a he.
How would you know?
I guess. I guess.
So please grab your cup of cocoa.
Or cocoa.
Oh, God.
And be part of the program.
She's initiated.
Thank you for staying with us. Just before we dig into, we sink our teeth into the crux of the man, well, one of the topics for today. This tweet came in just about 5 minutes ago. It's from Festus Akinboyewa, and it says, our Murtala Mohammed International Airport is a disgrace. It's a gateway to our country, but it's a monumental disgrace. I almost burst into tears when I visited Nigeria last week and saw the condition of the airport. Oh, dear.
Well, it's perhaps a clarion call on the managers of that facility, because it's not just the gateway to the nation, it's also a money-making platform. That airport is a business environment, and it needs to be taken care of. I mean, what else can we say?
Yeah.
But to the first issue of the day, during the week, the federal government proposes to extend the removal of fuel subsidy by 18 months. And also revealed that plans have been concluded to approach the National Assembly to amend the Petroleum Industry Act, that's the PIA. Well, according to the federal government, the reason for the extension is to give all stakeholders time to ensure that the implementation is carried out in a manner that ensures all necessary modalities are in place to cushion the effect of the PMS subsidy removal in line with prevailing economic realities. So let's begin that conversation with Atokwe Fashua. Joins us this morning. He is an economist. He joins us from our studio in Abuja, as well as Johnson Chuku of Asset Management, Cowrie Asset Management. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and thoughts this morning that you'll be bringing to the table. Let me begin with you, Mr. Fashua. I'm pretty sure that, I don't even know whether this comes to you as a surprise or it's just one of those things that you feared could happen. What are your thoughts, first of all?
Everyone. So, well, I wasn't quite surprised because this is a very volatile and inflammable issue, no pun intended. And I think we've gone so far into the woods, retracing our steps is going to be incredibly difficult. And so I wasn't quite surprised that they had to backtrack. In fact, I'd written in a couple of articles telling them not to go near that issue at all. As a matter of fact, of course, the present government had beaten a little bit more than it could chew. And if you look at every other index on the economic dashboard, everything is showing red. And so that's not a time for you to toy with the big masquerade, the big kahuna, if you like, you know. Because if you look at other indices on the economic dashboard, see where debts are, the national debt were in 2015, see where it is today, times 4, almost times 5. See where Naira was, 220 on the streets in 2015, see where it is today, 581. See where unemployment was, 12% in 2015, see where it is today at 33%. And on like that. So when people, you know, emotions are tinder dry. I mean, a government that goes through what happened in October 2022 should steer clear of anything that could get people on the street. Remember that it was in January 2012 that everybody went on the streets for this same reason. When Jonathan government decided to move fuel price from 65 to about 140 or thereabout. And we, you know, everybody was vehement that it should return. And at that time, we were talking about what they call the subsidy fraud, which amounted to about 2.3 trillion at the end of the day. And we couldn't even get that exact figure until Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala published a book and stated that it was 2.3. As at that time, there were different figures being bandied around. The Accountant General had a different figure, 1.7 trillion. The NNPC had 1.6 trillion. The CBN had 1.8 trillion and all of that. But today now we're talking about 3 trillion. I read somewhere that 3 trillion has now been approved for subsidy. So, so you don't want a scenario where people will troop out again. And also, when this government came, they came in with a lot of goodwill and a lot of trust, public trust, and people felt that they were going to do right by Nigerians. And so when the government increased fuel price from the then 97 to 145, there wasn't a whimper. There wasn't a whimper. And we were told then that they had already deregulated. The government again increased to 162. We were told they already deregulated until we started seeing what is called under recovery, which happens to be the new subsidy in the books. And of course, this is where we are today. So I'm not surprised at all. And I must say quickly that I don't believe that any government is going to be able to do this in this country in a long time. Any government that will be able to touch it will first of all spend a lot of time rebuilding public goodwill, recreating public trust, to be able to get people to understand. Because what we're seeing here is a scenario where, because of the huge income disparity in the country, because of the mismanagement, the corruption, both in private and public sector, because of the Philistinic economic policies that we have been, enforcing in this country, and the wrong ideologies that we have subscribed to, is what has taken us to this epoch, to this very point where we are. Let me stop here and let some other people speak.
Okay. Johnson, didn't the PIA, please correct me if I'm wrong, say that certain things had to be put in place first before subsidy could be removed finally, even though, like Tokwe said, we heard some time ago when it was moved to 145, that subsidy had been removed. And then when it went further to 165, we were also told that subsidy had been removed. So what exactly are we supposed to believe?
Okay, good morning, and thank you for having me. In the first place, the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, stipulated that 6 months, there's going to be a transition period of 6 months for Nigerian NNPC Limited to be incorporated, for the governance structure to be put in place, and then within that 6 months, the subsidy payment will cease. So that PIA made provision for that. And within that time, if you recall, the Minister of Finance, the GM of NNPC, the Minister of State for Petroleum have actually come out to tell Nigerians there are palliatives that they had set aside a specific amount of money to be paid monthly to the most vulnerable families or households. And we were actually computing that that figure they are going to pay would be about equal to the subsidy in a year, but they also said that the payment would be for a period of 1 year. So there were palliatives that the government was putting in place to address the most vulnerable in the society. So in any case, the PIA, in effect, will now be suspended from what the minister said. They're going to send it for amendment to the National Assembly because the exact law will be breached if subsidy is paid beyond June. But back to the substance of the issue. Chakwe had said that he doesn't expect the government to be able to tamper with it. But the reality we are facing now is that it's an existential reality situation. We as a country cannot afford to pay subsidy continuously. If you look at the federal government fiscal framework today, you realize the government does not have one kobo of its own to spend on subsidy. Last year, by November, the federal government has only generated 5.5 trillion naira. Last year, what the minister said, we paid 1.2 trillion naira in subsidy. This year, we're going to pay 3 trillion naira. And I believe that 3 trillion naira computation was based when crude was doing about $84, $83 per barrel. Today, crude is doing about $90 per barrel, which means that the subsidy computation of 3 trillion may be exceeded. The federal government, if we end up achieving the revenue we achieved last year, our total revenue this year will be at best 6 trillion naira. And they're going to spend 3 trillion naira to pay subsidy. They are spending about 4 trillion naira to pay debt service of interest. So nothing is left to pay the wages of the government, which budgeted about 6 trillion naira. That has to be borrowed. The amount the government will spend to do any one kobo of capital expenditure will be borrowed. And that's assuming that we achieve the budgeted revenue of 10 trillion. If last year's figure is anything to go by, we'll achieve 6 trillion. If we achieve only 6 trillion, I can tell you that this country will borrow about 14 trillion because we have an expenditure profile about 17.1 trillion. If you add additional 2.5 trillion, which is what they have increased the provision for subsidy to by, you have about 20 trillion naira. So we're going to borrow about 14 trillion naira to run government expenditure this year. Certainly, at that level of borrowing, we are going to get to a point where total government revenue will not be enough to pay interest obligations. So the country will default in meeting its debt obligations. So, and that's why I said it's an existential issue. But the crux of the matter is that we are not just subsidizing Nigerian consumption, we are subsidizing the entire West African coast. Nigerian fuel is being smuggled to Cameroon, being smuggled to Benin Republic, is being smuggled to Niger Republic, Chad Republic, and Togo. And in effect, the 67 million liters we are presumed to be consuming today, maybe Nigerians are consuming about 30 million, 35 million liters. If you take your mind back to the era that Chokwe mentioned, the consumption that was being disputed about 35 million liters a day, which we said Nigerians could have been consuming that quantity. How did it balloon to about 67 million barrels. If not that, a significant part of that is being smuggled out of the country. So in effect, in our effort to cushion the suffering of the poor, we are making the poor poorer. Because look at it, the subsidy we are paying to in Nigeria has it improved the standard of living of Nigerians. We have about 98 million Nigerians who are living in abject poverty, living below the poverty line. It has increased consistently. Subsidy didn't save that. We are not able to do infrastructure. Subsidy has not saved us from that. We are not able to create employment. We have 3% unemployment. Subsidy has not saved from that. So if you are practicing, if you think you're enjoying a palliative that is worsening your situation, would you really want to continue that? My position is this. The government should look at how do we intervene in the lives of the most vulnerable through conditional cash transfer, so that the people who get the benefit of subsidy are those who are the lowest rung of the ladder, those who can afford to consume fuel. Those of you who have 4 or 5 vehicles can afford to pay for it, and they will leave this country of the burden of a financial situation that is going to lead.
Well, you know, Mr. John, issue now, I mean, a number of people have adduced the same argument that you brought up now, but you know as well as I do that most transport vehicles also, especially the ones that do intracity in various parts of the country, also use, you know, petrol. So when you say those who have multiple vehicles, that's perhaps the private sector. But, I mean, for those who have their own vehicles. But those who ply, you know, buses, commuter buses all over the place, they use vehicles, commercial vehicles that use petrol. And it is a ripple effect. It gets expensive at the pump station. It's a natural thing to transfer the costs. Even for the private sector that you talked about. For an entrepreneur like you spend so much money getting yourself from point A to point B, and you are running business, it's only natural that the prices will go on, the cost you will be defrayed by putting your running cost on the business, on the products and services that you sell, and it's going to go back to the same people. So I don't know how you think that will solve the problem, because there are those who have also argued, like the Labour, for instance, who have said, let the refineries work, and then we can start talking about removing the fuel subsidy.
Okay, let me take it from there. Take, for instance, assuming I'm at the rung of the ladder, and then currently I spend 5,000 naira for fuel, for transport, in public transport. And then the fuel subsidy is removed, and it costs me now 10,000 naira to move myself from my house to work and back home. Then the government says to me, Justin Chukwu, we're going to give you a palliative of 10,000 naira every month. Would that palliative not help me solve that problem of increase in the transport cost, and possibly the impact of the increase in transport costs on food items? So that will mean that they have targeted me because they know I'm vulnerable. But the person like Ayo, yourself, and Alero, who are rich, they wouldn't give you this palliative because you can afford to pay it. And that way, that amount that we are spending on consumption of fuel subsidy will now go into infrastructure. They will now expand the Lagos-Ibadan expressway. They will now do standard gauge from there.
The challenge, Mr. Chukwu, is not the idea. The challenge is the trust. And I think, let me take this to Mr. Fashua, because you spoke about that earlier, Mr. Fashua, that it's not, the idea is lofty, it sounds good, but believing the government has been an issue for a little while.
This is Nigeria.
Now, so, I mean, you say you're going to do this for us. Okay, we hear you. But as a friend of mine would say, we know what a man will do by what he's done before. So I think that's the issue here. I don't know what you make of that. Convincing the Nigerian that this time around, what government has said, government will do as government has said, without failing and without defaulting at all.
Thank you, Ayo. I don't think we know just how far gone things are. We sometimes want to live in our own little nirvana, you know, believing that things are still okay. You know, things have shifted several notches. We have eroded trust several notches. I mean, we Nigerians are even a lot more tribalistic, religionistic, and all of that now than they were 6-7 years ago. Not to talk of maybe 15-20 years ago. So you have to understand, these are matters of public policy, to know exactly where are you coming from, where are you exactly, and where do you intend to go. So that trust, again, has to be painstakingly built. Okay, so the kind of things we probably want to see in government is like what Soludo said they will do in Anambra State. I'm going to come into government and all my cars will be innocent. And all my clothes will be in Akwete, from Akwete in Anambra State. And not only to make that statement, but to leave that policy and be consistent over time. Not this, what we have seen, the tragedy we have seen in the last 7 years, where government officials who we trusted that they would do the right thing by the country decided to go on a binge. And even whether we were in a recession or depression or whatever the case may be, we didn't see new thinking, we didn't see new behavior. And what is this subsidy thing we're talking about? There are two types of subsidy. So the first real subsidy is to say, how much does it cost to bring this petrol into the country? And how much are we selling to the people? Okay, NNPC is the sole importer now. I understand that, okay, the cost of bringing it is rising to about 282, minding the fact that crude oil has now become a liability to this country. Crude oil is selling, Brent is selling for about $90, $91 now, as we speak, but it has become a problem to this country. Why would that be the case? When crude oil price goes up, we say, there's problem. And the government has said that the people should brace up for harder times. I say, how much harder can times become? And when crude oil goes down, the first thing we do is to devalue the currency, because all of a sudden we can't even find money to pay salaries in the civil service. You know, so the real subsidy is, we are saying that how much are we bringing this in and how much are we selling? That is the subsidy. The second subsidy is the opportunity cost of saying that, okay, if the NNPC brings in this petroleum, rather than sell to Nigerians at 162, why don't they sell to Nigerians? Why don't they sell to Cameroonians? Why don't they sell to people from Republic of Benin or Chad or even twice removed? Why don't they sell in Ghana? Now, number one, then you'll be faced with the issue of how responsible is that? Are you not working for Nigerians? Okay? Okay, and you'll be faced with the point that, look, okay, if we're talking about 302, as was discussed in the National Economic Council meeting a couple of weeks back, that this is where the new price should be, that price itself does not eradicate the opportunity cost subsidy, all right, and until we're able to say that we will sell this at 500 naira because it's 452 naira equivalent in Ghana, are Nigerians ready for 500 naira subsidy? That's, I mean, per liter. 500 naira per liter of petrol at the pumps. And can anybody not imagine the reverberating inflation effect of that? All right, transportation costs will go up triple-fold. Yeah. And so will every retail item go up. And I tell you what, 2015 to date, I looked at the inflation on staple food and staple goods, and I was seeing an average of 250%. Take rice alone, 8,000 naira in 2015, 26,000 minimum today, 250%, some 300%. Look at, okay, see what happened with the deregulation of the electricity sector. Okay, since 2015 today, we're paying about 4 times, 5 times over, depending on where you live. That is 500, 600%. So we're saying that, look, something has broken. And it will take a while. Yes.
I beg your pardon.
It will take a while for us to get back to normal.
Us why we should be subsidizing petrol that comes through our country to Cameroon, to Niger, to Chad, to wherever it is going? Why should Nigeria be subsidizing that fuel?
We shouldn't be subsidizing. I don't know when it got into the heads of Nigerians and the government that we should be buying petrol at a cheaper price. However, you see, you don't change a policy overnight. Especially, you have to consider the present makeup of the social polity. Very important. Number one. Number two is that, you know, that we've had so many different numbers. As at May 2021, we heard that the domestic consumption of Nigeria was 93 million liters a day. It used to be 42 million liters. Then all of a sudden it went to 93 million. Today they're hearing 67.5 million. So, look, there's total opacity in that sector, and no average Nigerian can engage with it. And what we're saying about deregulation is this, that the price of petrol in VI will be different from the price of petrol in Agege, not to talk of the price of petrol in Ibadan, in Oshogbo, in Ilorin, or the north of Nigeria. A lot of things are going to be, that's one. So that we have to understand exactly what we're talking about, that this deregulation is a very, very dicey policy. It's a very, and it has effect all through the country, all right? So we need to know, and secondly, that we're not talking about the, what do we do with the catalyzation of that sector? Are we going to be left to the fangs of monopolies and oligopolies, a few people who band together and sell at whatever price they wish for us? That's the thing. But are we ready for that?
My apologies,
Mr.
Fasha.
Going to throw Nigeria into the fangs of these people?
My apologies. If we take the example of the liberalization of the telecom sector, I think it's only a matter of time, because there will come someone like the Globalcoms of this world who will come and literally blow up the sector so the prices will be reduced to smithereens, as it became eventually. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But let's talk solutions now. This policy is a must-do. I mean, it dates back to 40 years.
Yeah.
It's something that has to be done. Wasting trillions of naira to pay subsidy, and at the same time, in the same budget, spending trillions of naira to service our debts. It's something that needs to stop. So, I mean, Mr. Chukwu earlier, has adduced some kind of way out of this. What would be your recommendation? How do we get this done
I do not believe in tokenization.
As peaceful a way as possible?
Yes, I do not believe in the tokenization of the problem, paying tokens to people. As suggested by the Minister of Finance the other day, we realized that she was proposing a yearly payout of 2.4 trillion in handouts, which, when you're paying people cash and whatever, the same opacity comes in, the same corruption comes in. Yeah. Nobody is sure who gets that money. And you can come back and say, okay, sorry, we paid 2.4 trillion in tokens to people. I don't believe in that. We need to think deeper in this instance. Okay? I don't believe in the tokenization of it. I also don't subscribe to that now cliched statement. Just fix the refineries. What have we been doing that we haven't fixed the refineries since? How come in this country we've been teaching petroleum economics and petroleum engineering for ages now, for decades now? There's no university in this country that has a small refinery that can actually refine 1 barrel. Then we probably have to go back to those boys in the Niger Delta and say, what exactly are they doing? How can whatever they are doing be standardized? They have shown us that refining petroleum is not a big deal. Okay, so are we going to do that? We need a profound, truthful policy now going forward, not to put money in people's pocket and say that we have given them 5,000. Look, if they give people 5,000, 10,000 naira, that money will erode in one day with the kind of inflation that will come in as a result of the reckless, of course, they can't do it anymore, the reckless total deregulation. And the people that will come on the street in protest will be, will make NSAS a child's play. Of course, they know better than to try. And in fact, the government got some security reports that made them backtrack on this issue. It's not the fault of this government alone, but of course, this government hasn't done well at all in terms of the kind of things that we needed to see to come to this point where we're saying that, okay, look, let us now deregulate the sector entirely. The government hasn't done right. So I'm not seeing on both sides, whether on the side of Labour or on the side of the liberals who say, look, let's take this thing out, or the side of the government who believe that we should give some tokens to people. I'm not seeing the profundity in terms of thoughts that will try and solve this problem. But I'm saying that it will take time. It will take time. It will take a lot of honesty, a lot of rebuilding of trust, a lot of rebuilding of goodwill before we're able to get out of this quagmire. Until then, the same people who are ripping off Nigeria, who ripped off Nigeria in 2012, 2011, will continue to rip off Nigeria because we're hearing 3 trillion now. Okay, if we protested on the basis of 1.8 trillion, 2 trillion, then now we're hearing that the government has approved 3 trillion. That means, we're just here and they're doing whatever they like with us.
Okay,
So we need
Mr.
profound thoughts,
Fashua.
and this is something that people have to sit down, all stakeholders will come to the table and say, listen, this is what will solve this problem. But remember how I define subsidy in 2 ways. If we're talking about the subsidy, that is the opportunity cost, it's a different ballgame entirely.
Okay, all right, Mr. Fashua. Mr. Chuku, at the crux of labor's protestation is the fixing of the refineries to get the refineries back up. Let us assume that the refineries were working now. In what way would that affect supply, price of petroleum products?
Okay, just for the academic reason, we say I assume the refineries are working, but the refineries are not going to work. But for academic reasons, let's assume the refineries are working. Crude is sold in dollar.
Yes.
Crude is an international product. And the crude that we consume here, or we produce here, are produced in joint venture between international oil companies and federal government, represented by NNPC. So what that means is that whatever is produced, the co-owners of that crude expect a dollar global market equivalent value for it. So if we have the refineries working in the country, and we have to take the crude from the IOCs, that's international oil companies, Shell, Chevron, Mobil, to refine here, the federal government has to pay them their own counterpart value of that crude in dollars.
In dollars, okay.
So if crude is trading for $90 today, and their share is 45%, the federal government will give them 45% of the $90 per barrel of crude that is refined locally. What would that mean is that the federal government, if we continue to sell at the current price, there will still be a subsidy which the federal government will absorb. The difference will be that that subsidy may not be at the same level as it is today, because the cost of logistics of bringing in refined petroleum products, shipping, insurance, the duty fee, and throughput will be saved. So you land at a cost that is not as high as it is today, because those operational costs are added to the cost of refined petroleum product before you arrive at the pump price. So that's one. But let me not fail to mention the fact that everything in life has its own lifespan. The refineries we have, I think the first one was built around 1965. They are all due for scrapping. And if you recall, General Sani Abacha gave out contract for the retrofitting and turnaround maintenance of the refineries. It didn't work. Babangida, Obasanjo came. Absamad came. It didn't work. Obasanjo came. For 8 years, it didn't work. Yar'Adua came. It didn't work. Jonathan came. It didn't work. Under the current president, if you remember, the Minister of Petroleum and the former GMD of NNPC gave a commitment that, and the timeline that, if he failed to fix the refineries, he was going to scrap them. That timeline came and passed. It wasn't fixed. We have voted on now about 1.5 billion naira. Yeah, and wasn't scrapped. We have voted on now $1.85 billion to fix the refineries. And that is, for me, is throwing money in good money after bad money. The refineries have passed their useful time. Their FCC, that's the flue cracking catalytic devices, are no longer in tandem with current practice. Even if you tried, like what Kachuku said, the problem we're having that if you put in a barrel of crude into our refineries, and the byproduct is lower, the value of the byproduct is lower than the cost of the crude, because they're inefficient. They are old systems. We need to scrap them. So let's not continue to pull ourselves as if we feel they fix the refineries. If we bring the right policies, the refineries, private sector refineries will come up. We have issued more than 42 licenses for refineries. None of them has come up, other than Watersmith and Niger Delta refinery. And both of them are refining only AGO, because the cost of refining up to fuel PMS is quite expensive. And they can't even, nobody will put the refined fuel in a market where you are going to depend on government to buy the product from you. So the old refineries are not going to work. With that policy, new refineries will come up, and they will begin to domesticate refining product in the country.
Mr. Chuku, so where do we go from here? I'm bad at math, so I'm not going to even try to do any calculation. But from the basics that I see, 3 trillion naira for subsidy is what the NNPC has requested according to the finance minister and we are subsidizing, well, should I? No, we're servicing our debts. At how much now? Something going to around maybe 3 trillion naira, 6 trillion naira recurrent. And this recurrent is not even producing anything. It is just, well, literally, I don't even know what English word to use. So this needs to stop. So what do we do now? How do we get out of this quagmire? Because unless we do, I don't even know how much worse this can be. The scenario that was it you or Mr. Fashua painted the other time, that if we start to default on paying our debts, it's going to be a lot worse than what we have on our hands now. What do we do now?
I did. Okay, let me take it from there, and thank you for that question, because that should be the focus of our conversation. In the first place, I'm going to give us a graphical illustration of where the country is. Assuming you, Ayo, is currently earning 550,000 naira a year. You have budgeted that your salary to increase to 1.7 million naira this year. But last year, you spent for 1.4 million naira to pay your children's school fees, pay in a very expensive accommodation, drive a Lamborghini because you like lifestyle. And then this year, you have projected that your salary will now increase to 1.7 million naira. But your salary last year was 5.5, and they didn't increase it to your 1.4 million you have projected. Now, your child comes to you and says, look, I need to go to Harvard. The other one says, I'm going to Cambridge. So you now need to increase the amount you are spending on them by another 2.5 million naira, by 250,000 naira. So, in effect, your current expenditure will increase from 14, because you have also budgeted, you're going to buy a lot of things. So you plan to spend 1.7 million this year. So you're now going to increase it to 2 million, but your salary is still at best 5.5 to 6 million. So last year, you borrowed 10 million, 1 million to service your lifestyle. This year, you want to borrow 1.4 million. And your salary is not increasing. And you think one day they will not come and sell your property and take your children in bondage like it used to happen in the old Jewish era. And you are hoping that you are doing your children any favor. Instead of telling them, go to Unilag, it's a federal government school. I can afford to pay that. And that's the situation Nigeria has found itself. So the first thing to do is that we need to eliminate those things that are avoidable. The subsidy as it is today is something that is an inevitable evil we must face. It's like akin to somebody who had a fracture. You have your bone broken. They tell you if you go for bone setting, it's so painful. So let's give you Panadol so that the pain will moderate. And then you keep taking Panadol. You know what will happen? The bone will rot and that leg will be amputated. That's how we're heading towards. So the first thing, starting point is this. Let's agree the most vulnerable in the people who will be most affected. How do we help them to overcome the problem in the interim? 2, how do we ensure that we restore public confidence to the government? That would be that let them work their talk. If you say if we save 3 trillion, by the end of
my apologies, sir. My apologies, Mr. Shugu. I think we've run out of time, but I think there's something that you both gentlemen have agreed on this morning, and that is to, first of all, as a matter of priority, rebuild public confidence in government. Without rebuilding public confidence in government, which government has to do itself by, taking some steps, what's that word now? Taking austerity measures in government to get some things done. I don't even know how government can do that, build public trust, but that is something that has to be done. Both of you have established this morning if this subsidy removal is going to be a thing at all. We have to thank you both for being a part of our conversation this morning. Johnson Chukwu is Chief Executive Officer, Cowrie Asset Management Limited, as well as Stockwell Fashua, who is an economist. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your thoughts this morning.
Pleasure.
All right, so Sunrise continues in a moment after now. Stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us this lovely Saturday morning. We're going to be looking at the Eko Excel initiative now. That's an initiative which was launched in 2019 by the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And the aim is to develop more highly skilled teachers for public schools and to enhance basic education in Lagos, as well as to enhance the curriculum as well. Well, I don't know anything about all that, but we have someone who's going to give us all the details in the studio. It's my pleasure to welcome Honorable Adebayo Adefuye, who's permanent board member, Lagos State Subeb, in charge of special projects, including Eko Excel. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So this initiative was launched 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So far, what has changed in in the education system in Lagos State?
Okay. First of all, it's an initiative of Mr. Governor, and he's wanted public schools to be number one nationally and globally competitive. So Eko Excel is
Globally?
Yes, globally competitive.
Okay.
Okay. Eko Excel is Excellence in Child Education and Learning. Eko stands for Lagos, as we all know. Now, what we're doing is leveraging on technology to improve the skills of our teachers and greatly enhance the learning outcomes of our pupils. The teachers are given tablets, digital tablets. By these tablets, they can take attendance, they can enter test score, assessment scores, like exam scores and all that. They can enter information about the pupils and the parents, and every information that you need about the classroom is captured on the tablet. Now, the head teacher is given a smartphone. This smartphone helps to geolocate the school, number one, and then in the morning they sync with the smartphone. And when you sync with the smartphone, every information is uploaded to our servers, where we have access to this information through a digital dashboard that key personnel are given access to. And this we use this data to help and enhance the work of monitoring our schools. And from this data, we can carry out investigations and everything is now data driven, and the data really helps us. Now, what we have here is that there were some KPIs before the advent of Eko Excel. There were some KPIs, that's the key performance indicators, which were the teacher attendance, teacher time on task, teacher content knowledge, and also teacher motivation. These four main KPIs affected learning outcomes before Eko Excel came on board.
Okay.
And when Eko Excel came on board, it provided a digital technology platform with digitally transparent instructional delivery and classroom and school management. It provided instructional content, which was continually being adapted to fit Lagos.
Okay.
It provided 360-degree teams which support our teachers, and also everything that we need
For the teachers.
for the teachers.
Now, if you don't mind me butting in, Honorable, one of the things it will seem like Eko Excel is targeted more for the teachers so that we can have the kind of outcomes we expect from the pupils, right?
Yes.
Now, those are for teachers who are already in the system. Is there any element of this program that also monitors the capacity or not of the teachers who will be able to take on this, who will be able to key into this program? Because, I mean, if we take on teachers that don't even know how to use technology in the first place, it's going to be a problem, isn't it?
Well, there's extensive multi-day training that the teachers go through. And when the teachers go through this training, they are well trained on lesson delivery, creative lesson delivery, to garner the interest and maintain the focus of our pupils. We also have mentors and coaches who go around to help those teachers visit those teachers in the classroom at least 3 times in a month. Now, when they visit these teachers, they ensure that they observe them and make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do and delivering the lessons with the right intention. They observe the pupils as well. They see that they are getting, they are receiving the needed impact, and it's having the impact that it's having on them. So they are concerned about the optimal performance of the teacher and the pupils as well in the classrooms.
How is the progress of the teachers evaluated?
Progress of the teachers.
The teachers themselves, yes.
Well, the progress is evaluated. Like I said, these mentors go around, and when they go around, they look at the teachers. There are different evaluation techniques that we have. You have the scores. You know, you can take the average from term 1, term 2, make a comparison. Okay, the average has gone up or down. That allows you to evaluate the teacher. That's and also the general energy levels in the classrooms.
So the teachers are being continually evaluated as they go along.
We always must make sure that the teachers are always on point and delivering as they should. So they're always continually evaluated. They're always motivated. We have ways of motivating them by, you know, sometimes we try to celebrate those who are doing well by making sure that everybody in all the LGAs know that, okay, this particular LGA, they have performed well here. This particular teacher has performed well. So that push is done to all the tablets. So everybody everywhere. So when you see your colleagues being celebrated, you want to achieve maximum performance.
So in 2 years, have you noticed any impact on the students' performance?
Yes, there has been, the learning outcomes have been very impressive. In fact, in terms of assessment, there's this, if we keep on talking about our own assessment, we're like blowing our own trumpet. There's an independent organization known as the Education Partnership. They have carried out an independent assessment of Eko Excel, and they have come up with that it's 3 times the faster rate of learning in terms of literacy in our Eko Excel schools as compared to non-Eko Excel schools, then 2 times the rate of learning in numeracy in our Eko Excel schools as compared to non-Eko Excel schools. And also we are, at the current rate we are going, by primary 4 we'll have tripled the number of very proficient readers. And proficiency is very important in literacy and numeracy. Literacy and numeracy is actually the bedrock and the foundation of learning, because literacy, you must be able to read and write and understand what you are reading and what you are writing. And then numeracy, you have to be able to work with numbers. All your life you will encounter numbers, and that foundation must be solid and sacrosanct.
I'm happy you're talking about the teachers, sincerely, because if we don't get it right at the teachers' point, some of those students are also going to become teachers themselves. So there might be a problem. But then, you know, even these teachers, some of them have complained that the timetable is too packed and that the workload is so much that they get no breather
well,
from the time that they get.
That is, I beg to differ on that, because I know for a fact that there are 2 major break periods within the day that they have. One, after the first 2 periods, there's a 10-minute recess. After the first 4 periods, there's a 25-minute break. Now, these 2 breaks, you can do what you need to.
But you know that if you need those times,
to gather yourself.
They're also getting ready for the next class.
And have a breather. Also, apart from these 2 major breaks, at the beginning of the day, you have 5-minute time to prep, which is even advised on the tablet. You have 5 minutes time to prep for your day. You also have at the end of the day, there's a 20-minute prep time where you're allowed to preview your lesson plans and prepare yourself for the next day. So the question of breather does not even come into it.
Okay, how about the criticisms of the program, that part of which is that it does not align with the curriculum, no textbooks for all the subjects, including local languages, and little room for assessments of work at night and all of those things?
Well, the curriculum and the content which is sent to all the tablets is based on the Lagos State scheme of work. And this scheme of work is in line and in tandem with the national curriculum. Now, all subjects in the syllabus, including Yoruba, are you have all lesson content, and every period of the day we have content which is delivered and timed for the teachers. Now, when you're talking about the textbooks, workbooks, practice books, and the sort are all delivered free to the pupils. They are teachers are giving instructional material and further resources that will help with their lesson delivery. And they are also, when you say, you mentioned stifling of creativity. Now, I know that...
No, I'm coming to that. The one that I want to talk about is the criticism that it doesn't doesn't align with curriculum, had no textbooks for all subjects and local languages and all of that. That's the one I just
Okay, so like I said, Yoruba has content there and it's there. The textbooks are given to textbook workbooks, practice books. They're all aligned to the syllabus and they're provided for each child. Okay. Now, everything concerning the subjects are scientifically based and planned. Okay. The contents are scientifically designed to have that effect. So when the teacher delivers them in the creative way that we expect them to deliver them, they have the needed impact on the children. Okay. Now, in terms of classroom management skills, we have found that children learn better in a fun-friendly environment as opposed to over seriousness, which makes the schooling look like a chore. So instead of making it look like a chore, let's make it something they want to come.
Is that
there's something I personally call the smartphone principle. It's my own principle. I say, if you give a child a smartphone, on his own, he's going to learn how to use that smartphone, and you'll be surprised what he'll come up with.
He will teach you how to use your own smartphone.
Your own smartphone. He will tell you this. Why? Because he's interested in the smartphone. Yeah. And because he's interested, he goes out of the way, he's focused. And children, they have very little attention span. And to get better attention span for them, you must put up things that intrigue them. That is why the classroom management will have cheers, energizers, things that keep them attentive. Like, for example, if a teacher knows that the energy level in this class is falling, he could initiate an energizer, something to revive and bring back up the energy levels within the class.
Okay. You wanted to talk about the stifling of creativity. It's one of the other criticisms that has come. What is your take on that it stifles creativity? I'm surprised that will even come to play, given some of these things that you have said now. But
when you talk about stifling of creativity,
yeah,
I laugh sometimes when I hear that, because I know that technology enhances creativity. Let me give you an example.
That's assuming that the teachers have fallen into the habit of using the technology which we have introduced to them.
But humor me, just listen to this. Now, I'm sure you both at one time or the other read the news. Now, when you were reading in the old days, you wrote your news down on paper, you read it from the paper and all that. Then as your editor comes in one day and says, okay, you don't need to read from the paper anymore. All you need to do is look at the screen and read from the teleprompter. Have I in any way stifled your creativity?
No, there is no creativity in it.
So
only the delivery of the news.
You cannot give what you don't have. Naturally, creative people will always be creative, no matter what circumstances.
So it depends on the teacher now.
Now, we also have tips and messages that are pushed to help the teacher along on the tablet. We encourage them to be creative in their lesson delivery. We encourage them to use instructional material that are imaginative and creative as well, so that the children can get the best from the lesson. Now, these instructional materials, for example, I've been in the class, observed the class before, where the teacher brought in rocks. We wanted to talk about the different types of rocks there were, and he brought in different types of rocks to show them. Now, the thing there is that from the inception of, before the inception of Eko Excel, we had already envisaged some teething problems. Now, these teething problems, we divided them into 5 stages. The first stage is post-training excitement. Now, in this way, there are high expectations. You just come off training, there's a new methodology, you want to get to class, and then immediately start using the skills you have learned. Newfound skills. The second stage are early classroom jitters. Now, with these early classroom jitters, now you're trying, you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, there are tech glitches, network issues, what have you, and it starts to tremble a bit. We have envisaged all this.
Okay.
Now the third stage is that pressure-filled concerns. Here you are becoming more conscious of tracking. Of course, by now absenteeism has dropped down. Then you now realize what exactly is going on. You have to put in your best, and if some teachers are not used to putting in their best, this can be a bit of the culture shift and change for them. Sorry, please, let me just get to the end of it.
We're running out of time.
Okay.
I need to put in this one. Do you? You've talked a little about the students. Do you get feedback from the students themselves?
Yes, every teacher is supported and encouraged to get individual feedback
from the students,
from the pupils.
Very good. And what kind of, on the scale of 1 to 10, what kind of responses have you gotten?
From the pupils, those feedback are what allow us to know that it's having great impact on them.
Okay. And lastly, what are the plans for sustainability of Eko Excel?
Now, Eko Excel we have a technical partner, New Globe, and Lagos State government. We're working hand in hand.
Where's New Globe from?
New Globe is a Nigerian, it's an international company. Okay. So we have a transition plan. Okay. Now, this transition plan sees them handing over everything, like technology and what have you, over to Lagos State. Now, all the departments of SUBEB, since SUBEB is the one driving the program, are engaged in this transition. Whatever applies to your department, you are monitoring it, you are making sure that there's an effective transfer and an effective transition, so that by the time the technical partner leaves, what you have
the program is standalone.
Is standing on its own alone, and we even aim for it to even be better than when the technical partners were here.
Just a quick one. There are a number of people who are wondering what is Eko Excel about. Do you have a website that people can get to?
Yes, ekoexcel.ng is the website for Eko Excel.
That's simple.
Just that simple. ekoexcel.ng.
Eko Excel.
Yes. There it is on the screen.
That's what you have on the screen
right now.
Welcome
to Eko Excel. So ekoexcel.ng. Should you require any more information about Eko Excel?
So I'm pretty sure that Honorable has not said everything that you need to hear, but this will probably take more than 15 minutes if you sit at that website.
And get all the information that you require. Thank you very much, Honorable Adebayo Adefuye, who's permanent board member, Lagos State SUBEB, in charge of special projects, including Eko Excel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having
coming to enlighten us today. We wish you all the best, and it's for the country's best that our educational system should begin to see some kind of turnaround.
Yes, it is.
So congratulations on Eko Excel.
Thank you very much.
Sunrise will return in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. So right now, we want to talk about something that has been on for I don't even know. Now, the HIV Trust Fund. It's a private sector-led trust fund promoted by the Nigeria Business Coalition Against AIDS in Ebuka. And it's, of course, in partnership with Nigeria's National Agency for the Control of AIDS, that's NACA. And the core objective is to ensure sustainable mobilization of resources from the private sector to make significant contributions towards funding of HIV programs across Nigeria. A lot more of this will be said in this conversation we're about to have with Dr. Gambo Gumel Aliyu, who is Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thanks for joining us this morning, Doc.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. It's HIV Trust Fund. Some would probably be hearing about this for the very first time. What can you tell us about it? How far back, does the HIV Trust Fund go?
All right. So this is an initiative that predates my coming to office. The idea was there even before I come to office in 2019. And the goal is to see how private sector support government effort, especially at eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV. One out of every 7 babies born with HIV globally is a Nigerian. And every year, about 22,000 babies get HIV through their mothers. And this is something that is preventable, is doable in many places in the world. Now, the discussion is elimination, and some have succeeded in eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV. And we cannot think of eradicating HIV without producing a HIV-free generation. And the other thing that people should have in mind is that the unborn baby has the right to be protected from having HIV, and that right should be granted by the parents.
I agree. Doctor, you say it's a private sector-led initiative. How much support are you getting, how much support is the Trust Fund getting from the private sector?
So it is 100% private sector-led. What we mean by private sector-led is that it has chief executives, it has board, but all these, the chief executives and the board, with the exception of myself that sit on the board, they are all from private sector. And the idea here is mobilizing resources by private sector and managing those resources also by private sector. On our side, the government, we would request for commodities, we would request for logistics. It is important to have virtually every pregnant woman in the country tested for HIV. That means every pregnancy should be tested for HIV, and we need kits to test for HIV for this pregnancy. For instance, in a year, we test approximately 2 million pregnant women, and we have in our target about 8 million pregnant women to test. This giving access to the kits and making drugs available for those ones that turn out to be HIV positive, to be used in preventing mother-to-child transmission or even eliminating mother-to-child transmission, as well as measuring to see that we have done a good job in suppressing this virus within the pregnant woman before they deliver. All these are essential and require money. And this is the area where we're looking forward to private sector to support, provide the commodities, provide the testing kits, and provide the logistics. And once that is done, the gaps now we have that now exist, where we only cover about half of the expected pregnant mothers nationwide, will now be filled. And we're confident if this comes to fruition, we will see improvement in terms of our coverage from the current barely 46% nationwide to approaching 100%.
Yeah, Doc, is this testing only happening in public hospitals, public health establishments?
It is happening in both private and public establishment. However, we've come to realize that for the past almost 20 years that we have had this program at the facility level, we succeed whenever we have pregnant women reporting to the facility to make sure that that pregnant woman is tested for HIV. And for those that turn out to be HIV positive, we also almost 100% succeed in linking them up to our services within the facility to take the life-saving medication and make sure that the unborn baby is protected from having HIV. However, we realize there is the vast majority, or almost half, of these expectant mothers that don't show up in our facility. They rather show at a community center, they rather show at some religious places of worship, where they get some services there in terms of their antenatal services. And then some of them get services from a traditional birth attendant that is in the neighborhood, or a trained nurse that is in the neighborhood. They don't come to hospitals. So these are our targets now. These are the group that we want to make sure we reach out to, meet them wherever is convenient for them, and also escalate awareness for people to realize that whenever you have pregnancy, that pregnancy is entitled to be tested for HIV, and that right should be guaranteed by the couple. The mother and the father must realize that there is some work here to do, and that work is to prevent this coming baby from having HIV. There is no way we can do that without testing to find out whether the mother has HIV during pregnancy or not.
Yeah, doctor, how much awareness is there of the existence of this trust fund, so that women will actually, if they're not told about it when they go for their antenatal, they actually ask for more information about it?
So the trust fund is just coming into existence. It will be launched next week, February 1st to be precise, by His Excellency the President of Nigeria.
Okay.
And we are hoping from that time going forward, people will get to know that there is a substantial work in eradicating HIV that the private sector in Nigeria is doing. And this is a follow-up to what the private sector has done in helping the country to fight COVID-19 infection. It is evident that the COVID, which is a coalition of private sector against COVID-19, has played a major role in helping the country to fight COVID-19 and achieve the results we are now seeing visibly all over the country, and we are happy with. So this is the same strategy we are applying here. We want to see in the next 1 year or two, there has been a kind of a turnaround in getting pregnant women wherever they are, and making sure that we get them tested for HIV. Those that are HIV positive, link them to facilities or to centers where they will receive life-saving medication. And this is very important in preventing that HIV from leaving the mother to affect the unborn baby.
The stats you gave earlier, Doc, 1 in 7 babies born is a Nigerian baby. Doesn't that say a lot about NACA and the work that NACA is doing, that NACA has its job cut out?
Not at all. You cannot force people to accept or to come to facility and access services. What I have said is that for every pregnant woman that come to facilities where we provide these services and that accept HIV testing and turn out to be HIV positive, we have 100% success in linking them up to care and making sure that that baby is protected from having HIV. However, if people choose not to come to hospital and to deliver at home, there is nothing NACA can do. The only thing NACA can do is to convince them to either go to their house and test for HIV or take the kits by themselves, because we have self-test kits now available. They can go in the comfort of the room and test to see whether that pregnant mom is HIV positive or she's HIV negative. So this is much we can do, but we cannot force people to come to facility. We cannot force people to take HIV test when they are pregnant. Rather, we create awareness and convince pregnant mothers to consider these services and take advantage of them. And let me tell you something about what NACA has done recently that many people are not aware of. In the last 14 years, before 2019, we have been looking out for cases for HIV all over the country, identifying them and placing them or bringing them to treatment. And we get to know in 2019 that Nigeria has approximately about 2 million people living with HIV/AIDS, courtesy of the survey we did in 2019. So knowing that information and knowing the location where these individuals could probably be found, NACA was given the directive to push for the last mile. As I'm talking to you now, within a span of 2 years, we have identified about 900,000 and placed them on treatment, moving from 800,000 in 2019 that we have to now 1.7 million that are receiving treatment, which means in the number we estimate 2 million, we have about 300,000 more to go to control the epidemic in Nigeria. So this is phenomenal. No country has done this globally, and this is the discussion from Washington to Geneva that Nigeria has done the impossible. So that is what NACA was able to do. But this piece, mother-to-child transmission, is something that affects individuals and rely on somebody's decision. The mom or the couple has the right to make that decision, and NACA cannot force it.
Well, you have quite a list of generals in the private sector. You have amassed quite an army with the HIV Trust Fund of Nigeria. Looking at the names that you have here, it's quite an army. But the question that I would want to ask now is, what are the things that this trust fund investment will buy? What will the investments give to Nigeria? You have spaded around them. Could you give us a few specifics, maybe points?
Okay, for us to identify pregnant mothers that have HIV, the gateway is testing. We need test kits. And when we get these test kits and we identify individuals, we put them on medication. We need this medication. And when we put them on medication, from time to time, we check their blood to find out how this medication is working in making this virus disappear. Because if this virus disappears and is not seen in the blood, it means the virus cannot be transmitted sexually. The virus also cannot leave the mom to affect the unborn baby in the process of delivery. So we need those reagents where the pregnant mom that are receiving medication for HIV will be tested from time to time to find out the level of their virus. So these three ingredients, if we get them, which it takes a lot of money to buy, will help us go a long way in expanding our coverage from the current 46% to about 100% before the year ends.
How do pregnant women living with HIV, how do they benefit from this program?
This program is available everywhere where we have HIV medications or HIV treatment services. But if people want to find out more, they are free to call our center at NACA at 6222. We have people working from Monday to Friday to provide information on this.
Okay. Is the service free to these women?
It is free.
Okay. That should be encouraging.
Okay, well, that's very interesting, the things that you have said now. But what are the imperatives here? Part of what you have also said in the information out there is increase domestic funding that will boost efforts to ensure coverage. But then there is also that need to spread the information about this program to the nooks and crannies of the country, especially to the hinterlands, where there's a lot of vulnerability that they may or may not even be aware of. Is there a communication plan?
This is part of it. This is part of the communication plan. You guys have been marvelous in helping us reach out to the farthest places that we cannot reach, in taking this information to the doorstep of people all over the country. You have been doing this job for the last 2 decades, and we have been achieving tremendous results. So we are relying on you.
Well, but you also know that on the farmlands there are no TV stations. So, so if there are other things.
But if there are no TV stations, there are radio stations, and
Okay.
people listen to radios.
Okay.
And we are on TV, we are on radio, we are on print media, all over, and also social media.
Okay. All right. So you tell us about this. This launching that you talked about. That this. HTFN is going to be launched by His Excellency in a matter of how long from now, and what happens from then?
In a matter of about 72 hours from now, His Excellency will preside over the launching of this HIV Trust Fund. The fact that His Excellency has accepted to launch this trust fund emphasizes or underscores the importance of the trust fund and the significant role that the gap in our funding process that the trust fund is going to fill. And the confidence also His Excellency has in Nigerian private sector that has turned around things or helped government to turn around things with COVID-19 and with other things, as well as now with HIV on the table.
The question of sustainability naturally comes to my own mind. Because a good number of people, thankfully, NACA has survived, if I can use that term, quite a number of administrations over the years. So the question of sustainability of this trust fund comes to mind, because it is one thing to initiate it and achieve some milestones within a few months or maybe a year. It's another thing altogether for the same program to go on for as long as necessary.
Right. So the plan of this trust fund is to be launched now and raise or mobilize resources and continue to mobilize resources. We have a target for the period of the next 5 years, which means in 5 years to come, we expect to mobilize as much as $150 million to support mother-to-child elimination or transmission, prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV in Nigeria. And after that period, initial period of 5 years, then the trust fund will now come back for replenishment. And this may be the beginning of private sector taking significant role, in eradicating lingering epidemics like HIV that have stayed very long around now for 40 years globally, and now that is on track, to one, get control globally, and two, to make sure that the control is sustained. One thing is identifying people living with HIV is very critical, and then placing them on treatment is also very critical to make sure that the virus in them continue to disappear, because this is what guarantees prevention of transmission to other people, and also this is what guarantees the virus not getting its way in breaking down the immune system of the individual to make the person sick. However, when we identify virtually everyone that has HIV in this country and we place them on treatment, keeping them on life-saving medication for the rest of their life will be the challenge. And where that money will come after that bridge is reached is what we are now looking forward to establish. And HIV Trust Fund is one of it. We will see significant role now by state governments going forward. We will see significant roles also by federal government going forward. And then we will see renewed effort internally to maximize the resources that we have in terms of getting value for money for every naira that is invested in this area.
Now, Doc, I'm sure there'll be some private concerns who are watching us right now. Should they wish to join this noble cause, how can they do that?
They are free to contact us And in any way, if they can link up with us by Monday, the launching is on Tuesday, and we will provide the needed access in terms of invitation card and the requisite invitation document, as well as list them among individuals that will be screened to be part of this.
Yes, so how do they reach you?
They are free to reach us through our line in NACA H6222 and
6222.
or through our media outlet. We have our contact on the websites that we have, NACA websites, or they can call on my line and send a text message at 081 8785 5713.
Okay, well, Doc, perhaps another thing that comes to my mind now is the fact that over the years you have done everything possible to educate people about HIV/AIDS, not just pregnant women and the vulnerable little kids and all now. So maybe this is something that people need to be aware of all over again. There are those who may not be aware. How do people avoid getting in contact with the HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus?
This is a very important question. One thing that we're lacking, and if we get today, that will signal the end of HIV in Nigeria and perhaps globally also. And that is this courage that people can have. Summon this courage and ask or demand for HIV services. By the time people start demanding for HIV services, that signals the end of HIV, because people will demand to be tested to find out whether they are HIV positive or negative. And when they are found to be negative, they will also ask questions about how to stay negative for the rest of their life. So that discussion is very, very important. And it's a discussion that we have experts all over the country that are given on daily basis and also available either on our website or by calling us at NACA 6222. I will provide information about our services, where they are located, and we will also provide information to those who want to know on how to remain HIV negative for the rest of their life. But demanding and asking for that information and demanding for services is the rate limiting step in getting HIV out of our way and in solving HIV problem forever.
Okay. Just one or two other things that we need to take on. There are those who may have, well, thankfully your website is on now, National Agency for Control of AIDS, NACA. That's the website, and everyone who can will just go ahead and look out for it. But you know, Doc, there are those who may have symptoms and they may not even know that what they have is HIV. What are some of those symptoms, by way of just a refresher for those who may need to call your office urgently?
So the way HIV works is, at the beginning, the individual may not even notice any symptom. It could be the same symptom as you have common cold. When you have common cold, you have some fever, you have some itches all over your body, and you may not really realize that you have gotten a virus in your body that is HIV. However, after some period of time, and this period of time varies from individual to individual, some people could live with HIV for 5 years without knowing that they have HIV, some for 10 years without knowing that they have HIV. During this period, the virus is busy fighting the body defense mechanism, and the body defense is also fighting back. But there will be a breaking point, where the body defense failed to match up the virus ammo, and at this particular time, the defense is broken. So once that body defense is broken, the individual now becomes vulnerable to diseases. And you can see at that time, individual may come up with diarrhea, individual may come up with fever that has not been responding to treatment, especially the common malaria treatment. And also, you may see somebody coming with coughing. You may see somebody coming with weight loss, unexplained weight loss. So when you begin to see this kind of symptoms, then that means that something is wrong. And perhaps probably when you ask them, open your mouth, when they open their mouth, you may see what we call oral thrush there. So this shows that the body defense mechanism is broken to an extent where organisms that ordinarily will not have chance settling and causing diseases now have their way, and they are settling to cause diseases all over the individual's body. And this this condition is what we refer to as AIDS. Once that happens, then AIDS has set in. But before this happens, then this individual only has HIV infection, which with medication, this condition that we call AIDS may not even set in.
All right, so in closing this now, can you estimate the number of people that are living with HIV/AIDS in Nigeria? Because people may not know these things, and you may even come across or come in contact with people living with HIV and not know.
Our estimation shows that we have around 2 million people that live with HIV in Nigeria. Precisely, we have around 1.9 million. And out of that, we have successfully identified around 1.7 million, and we have placed them on life-saving medication. We are looking forward to identify additional 200,000 from now to the mid of 2023, and that will signal control of HIV in the country in terms of putting stop on the heavy running taps that are spreading the virus. And that has to happen for us to control HIV and to end AIDS. One, we must control transmission. Two, we must control HIV from giving people the kind of sickness that people look and say, this person has AIDS. So we must end AIDS, we must end HIV transmission. And we can only do that by identifying people that live with the virus among us and making sure 95% of them, or over 95% of them, are identified. They are placed on life-saving medication, and they are doing well in terms of making this virus disappear in their body at that particular time. Then we will sit down and relax and see this number dropping in terms of the new infection we see every year.
Is there any obvious way that one can identify someone who's living with AIDS?
Can you come back again, please?
Is there an easy way to identify someone who's living with AIDS?
No, there is no easy way to identify someone who is living with HIV.
Okay.
But someone who is living with AIDS is very easy to identify. If he has AIDS, he will probably not stay at home. He will be in the hospital, and he will be on bed receiving treatment. And this is the condition where the HIV has succeeded in breaking down the body defense mechanism, and this body is not protected at all. So now all the armor that the body has to fight disease are now down, and they are not fighting. And because of that, this individual needs help. And this individual needs to be on the hospital bed and receiving antibiotics, receiving all sorts of treatment to make sure that this treatment and medication help to support his body defense mechanism. But when somebody has HIV and without progressing to AIDS, there is no way you can get to know when you see the person physically. In fact, when you see people living with HIV in them that are taking our medication, they live, they shine more than somebody that does not have the virus in them. They look like fresh tomatoes.
Well, that's the hope that this doesn't ever come down. We have to thank you very much this morning and wish you all the best as the HIV Trust Fund of Nigeria comes on stream. Dr. Gambo Gumel Aliyu, Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll return after now for another topic. No, not the home stretch yet. Do stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us. This is something that many viewers will find very interesting, and we find it interesting in the studio as well. We're going to focus our attention now on the Lagos Vehicle Inspection Exercise. You know those people who stop you on the roads in their white tops?
There are quite a number of them.
They're actually called VIO.
Okay, that one. Because there are quite a number of them. There are those in blue, there are those in white and black, yellow and red, yellow and black stripes. There are those in...
Their vehicle is yellow and black.
Their vehicle is yellow and black. And then their uniform? We'll find out later.
It's a white top.
Yeah, white top.
Yes.
And
but we've been told that they have no right to stop us on the road.
Maybe they have a left.
That they should be in the center.
How will you not?
That is where they should be inspecting our vehicles.
How will you not inspect
Anyway,
vehicle?
look, their boss is here, so don't let me speak out of turn before they'll be told to stop me on the road now when I go out. The Director of Vehicle Inspection Service, Mr. Akin George Fashola. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good. We hear that the Lagos State government has announced a new format for vehicle inspections.
Yes.
Please, what was the format before and what is the new format?
Thank you very much. Good morning again. It's not a new format.
Okay.
The process is still the same.
Okay. The vehicle has to show.
What we are saying now is we are no longer prepared to give you a roadworthiness certificate until we inspect the vehicle in which you are asking the certificate for.
Were you giving before? You saw the vehicle before?
What we were doing before was issuing the certificate in lieu of you bringing it voluntarily.
So if I now brought the vehicle and the vehicle was not roadworthy, what would happen to the certificate you've already given me?
No. Okay, so that's where the clarification comes into play.
Okay.
So if you already have a certificate, I'm not asking you to come, or we are not asking you to come.
How did I get it in the first place without having my vehicle inspected?
Well, we were expecting you to bring your vehicle within a time period for inspection due to the business of residents in Lagos. That was what we were expecting. Well, it didn't turn out that way. And once people got the certificate, they just went about their daily business.
Understandably.
So you trusted us that we would
bring the vehicles, but you did not. And so we changed that rhetoric in that I am no longer giving you the certificate
until I have seen your vehicle.
I want to see the vehicle.
Okay. So how will you know whether or not I have the certificate if my car is on the road and I do not come to your office?
Okay. That's an excellent question. This is one of the reasons Mr. Governor has been investing over the past couple of years in technology. So we have a database of all registered cars in Lagos. We also have a database of vehicles that we've issued roadworthiness certificate to before. And we track that. We send out text messages to vehicle owners on a yearly basis.
Sometimes.
No, all the time. There could be network issues.
Mr. Fashola,
yes.
I'll let you make your point, and I'll tell you my own case, not somebody else's.
Okay, so we do it on a yearly basis for private citizens and on a 6-month basis on commercial activities. Now, your own case, I would like to hear, because we do send out the messages.
No, we'll come to that. But what happens if I do not bring my vehicle and I do not have a certificate?
Okay, so it's two things. If you don't bring the vehicle and you don't have a certificate, that's quite all right, so long as you park the vehicle in your house and don't drive it on Lagos State roads. That's not a conflict of interest. Okay, so what we are saying is for you to ply Lagos State roads, at any given time, you must have that certificate. And if you are caught, it's an instant fine.
Okay.
So if how much does that certificate cost?
No, just a second. Okay. If you catch me,
yes,
who is going to catch me? You're not supposed to be on the road.
Who said that? That's a misconception.
Okay.
Okay, so vehicle inspection officers can be and will be on the road, not in the aspect in which you think. We've redesigned our process and our procedures. So when you see them on the road now, they are looking for specific individuals, specific vehicles Gone are the days where we look for random, just stop people at random. We've moved away from that. We let the technology do the work. So this is part of the exercise that will allow the technology to even work better. Because if I have a database of all the people that have done their inspection, all I need to do is just scan the vehicles that go through the road. I will pick you out if you haven't done. I can tell by your license plate. I can tell instantaneously. It's a live system. It's always on. That's why the cameras are there. You pass in front of a camera. It reads your license plate. It can tell instantly whether you have the certificate or not, or whether you have even come for inspection or not.
So is that camera on your vehicle?
It's on vehicles. It's at dedicated spots.
Okay.
It's even on handheld devices that officers carry around.
Okay, so they catch me and I get fined. So Alera's question comes to play now. What?
Yes, my experience.
No. How much?
Oh, how much does it cost now?
To do what?
To get the vehicle.
There are different categories. The roadworthiness certificate.
Roadworthiness.
Well,
yes.
they're based on the category of cars.
An SUV.
SUV, off the top of my head, I think it's about 6,000 naira. Off the top of my head.
Saloon,
a saloon,
a saloon car.
A saloon, they have different engine sizes. Okay, so that's also based on the engine capacity.
2 liter.
2 liter, I think it's about 4,800, thereabouts.
Okay. I was stopped at Ilukweju.
Yes.
The curve at Ilukweju.
I know the place, Shorex
Yes.
Garden.
And I was told that there was some ticket on my car because I had renewed my vehicle, my roadworthiness for 2019.
Yes.
Late. It had expired before I went to renew it, maybe a month later or something.
Okay.
But I was carrying a current roadworthiness certificate.
Okay.
I had the current one. I was not in breach of any law or rule in Lagos State. They said, no, it's not this one we're talking about. It's the last one. And every year, to get my vehicle thing, I drive my car to the Bagada place and have my car inspected and my certificate issued.
Yes.
So I was in breach, but I went to have my car inspected and the license was issued to me in 2020. Meanwhile, I had a ticket from 2019.
And you were stopped on the road.
And I was told that a text was sent to me, and I said I did not receive any text.
Okay. That's a fair question. Okay, so I'll answer you holistically.
Please.
In 2018, Lagos State government launched the AMPR, the cameras that we're talking about, in order to ease the enforcement that we do on the road, let the machine do the work, majority of it anyway. So I think a lot of residents kind of ushered it aside. I've heard that rhetoric before. They're not serious. It's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, a lot of cars got...
It worked.
A lot of cars got caught in that bracket. Now, if you offend, the offense doesn't go away. It stays on the system for however long it's there permanently. It can't go away.
Yes.
So whether it's 2019 offended and I see you in 2025, I will still try to execute that
Mr.
offense.
Fashola, my grouse is
Yes.
you purport that you sent me a text about an infraction.
Okay, yes.
I came to you without knowing about this infraction to renew my vehicle papers.
Absolutely.
And you go ahead and renew for me without informing me that I had a ticket on the car.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, those are the learning cycles that we have to breach in terms. Hear me out. Those are.
I'm listening.
It's a very costly learning experience.
It is.
Because you inconvenienced me.
Okay.
Made me pay 20,000 naira on the spot.
Yes.
Which I ought to have paid when I went to renew the license in 2020.
Can I answer that? Okay, so
and this thing happened in 2021, by the way.
The reason, okay, so there are reasons for most things. The reason that procedure came into play, because after deliberation with Ministry of Transport, the Commissioner, the Permanent Secretary, and then we got approval for Mr. Governor, instead of just arbitrarily, randomly stopping citizens on the road or residents on the road, all the fines that have been accumulated over the past 2-3 years or since the inception of the program, why don't we do this? if you have an outstanding fine, so I'm not doing a random check on the road. I'm not stopping every vehicle that I think, okay, might have a fine. Let us put on the system, we can't do it, and just identify that if you have an outstanding fine with Lagos State government, it'll flag up on the system, and I can identify instantly whether you have a ticket or not. That is why you were particularly stopped, because...
Let me know that I have a ticket.
Okay, so
that's my issue.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When you go and do your documentation, do you do it yourself or do you send somebody?
To do my roadworthiness, I go there myself.
Okay, so it must be a situation where the system missed it. Okay, so it wasn't... hold on a second.
And I get embarrassed on the road because your system isn't working.
No, it is.
I should sue you.
I'll agree.
We can look into that. We can look into that. Look, it's sometimes you redefine a process, a procedure that's not working before. You rejig it, you retweak it to make it more convenient. Now, it caused you an embarrassment. I apologize for that, but the intention was not to cause you an embarrassment. It was to streamline the cry from the citizens that officers were stopping vehicles at random, which we don't do anymore. We stop you for a specific reason, and then we explain to you. Now, that process in the past had, flaws and maybe minor miscalculations in it. We've corrected that, and we will continue to correct it. It's an evolving process. You can't get around it.
Okay, Mr. Fashola.
Yes.
We see a lot of vehicles on the road.
Absolutely.
Trucks, danfos, no tail lights, nothing. The back screen, the back shield is broken. They put nylon on it. And yet they're plying the streets of Lagos. And I say, my SUV looks like it is 3 years old. They're going to stop me and ask me for my roadworthiness. But this guy who doesn't have any tail lights at all and is plying the road at night gets by somehow. How does that happen?
Okay. That's an assumption. And I want to correct that assumption.
What is my assumption, please?
That we don't do anything about it.
Why is he still on the road?
Hold on a second. The way you see or you think that we should apprehend commercial vehicles, I assume that's what you're talking about, is not the way...
It may not be commercial.
Oh, the way you think that we should apprehend them is not the way we apprehend them. Okay, for various reasons. There's security concerns, there's safety on the road concerns. A lot of them don't have an attitude of care or respect, and they were ready to do anything if you
ready to fight.
If you apprehend them then and there. I would rather not cause bigger mayhem in order to stop small mayhem. We know where we catch them. If you come to our yards, we catch them on a regular basis. We know where we get them. As a matter of fact, we've just done a compilation of the ones that we are going to crush. We are going to dismember all these vehicles that you're talking about. Now, this new exercise, it's not a new exercise, this new process, this new procedure that we are implementing will also give us the leverage to be able to better identify who has done the proper procedure that Lagos State government is advocating on the road.
Well, someone is just asking that same question right now.
Yes.
Wow.
About, it's on Twitter, Shade A. He's talking about, this same thing, asking, are commercial buses, trucks, trailers exempted?
No one's exempted.
Obviously not.
Absolutely not.
But just as you said, it's an assumption.
It's an assumption.
Because when we see them on the road, it looks like, wait a minute.
Hold on, you will see them because there are just that many. There are more than you think.
Okay.
And we have to do it progressively and in a safe and sanctioned manner where it doesn't cause more mayhem than they ought to.
But there are so many.
That's my point. There are many. So the assumption is that we don't do anything about it. And that's not correct.
For as long as they are on the roads, that's the assumption. How does the VIS correct that assumption?
So some of the measures that we have in place is to go and accost them in their parks, their garages, where they load passengers. We do it on a daily basis. My officers accost them. We impound as much as per zone. Okay, we have 45 zones. If I give you an estimate, we have 45 zones. We take about 4 or 5 a day just apprehending them. They are very, very notorious, very difficult, and we have to be mindful of the fact that we are also dealing with sometimes loaded buses that have passengers in it, and you need to be conscious of all those aspects.
Okay. Now, can you speak to, and I'm pretty sure that you've been aware of them, chaotic scenes at various vehicle inspection centers across the state?
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful question. Okay, so this particular new process, it's not a new process. We're asking something new. Okay, it started in January, and we've been advertising, we've been talking to stakeholders, we've been telling people that come January 1st, Lagos State government is no longer going to issue you a roadworthiness certificate in lieu of you bringing a car. No, we want to see the car first, and then we will give you the certificate once we are satisfied you meet the minimum safety standard. Now, I think a lot of people are not used to that type of procedure or process, and they are afraid of the fact that maybe, okay, I'm going to get a ticket, or my vehicle is going to get impounded, so they crime the centers. So another aspect is, even with the awareness that we are doing and we will continue to do, a lot of people are not aware that we have different other centers around the state that they can go to. Okay, so if I give you numbers in terms of general overview, Vehicle Inspection Services has a capacity for about 2,600 vehicles to be inspected in a day. I can inspect that many in a day currently.
Okay.
We're doing
How many again, sorry?
2,600.
In a day?
In a day. We have the capacity to do
That's
that.
at each center or
No,
all
across board.
Okay, all 45.
No. We have 26 centers right now.
Okay.
We have 45 zones.
Okay.
Clarification. So 26 centers, and I have a capacity to do 2,600 vehicles a day. I'm doing about 1,500, 1,600, depending on any given day. I still have capacity in the system. But the problem is, because of the nature of Lagos State, in the mornings, everybody shifts to one location mostly, and in the evenings, they shift back to one location. So what we are finding out is that critical centers in those shift areas are being inundated with just testing. And we are trying to disseminate the information that you can go to other places. That is why we will change the system come in February. Now, you would know that if you didn't start doing that. It'd just be an assumption, like people think we don't arrest commercial buses.
Oh, there's some people think that you don't arrest them. In fact, someone is, Gante is saying that it's not true that commercial vehicles are accosted. They're afraid of them. But instead, private vehicles who cannot fight them are their targets.
You
have a long way to go correcting
that's
that.
absolutely not true.
Please go ahead with what you're saying.
I understand the rhetoric, but like I said earlier, your version of us accosting commercial drivers is not reality of how we accost them. Yeah, there are different circumstances and factors that we have to consider in terms of doing that job. Now, the capacity for vehicles, so we're trying to spread it around where vehicles can go to other centers, and we will correct the situation as we go along. But for right now, I'm quite happy with the patronage that we're getting, and people are seeing a lot of people are seeing the benefits of what we're trying to do.
Okay, the same Sade says that you should please outsource the service, that your inspection services are limited. We currently spend an average of 6 hours for
That's
an
absolutely
inspection.
not true. That's not true. I disagree with that greatly. I go around all the centers. I get feedback from the zonal heads in all the centers. That 6 hours is an exaggeration. If I'm being honest with you, the test itself takes 10, 15 minutes, the test itself.
Okay.
So from coming into the gate and leaving the center, maybe you're doing an average of an hour and a half, max. And those are the critical centers. That's 6, I don't know where that 6 hours is coming
Center she
from.
went to.
Yeah, but
Okay,
that's just not
now,
true.
now help us understand what exactly are you looking out for,
Okay.
so that anybody who wants to come may or has a chance to get their car in order before actually coming for the inspection?
Okay, that's a good question too. So let me justify that with numbers. Right now, we've tested over 20,000 vehicles from January till now. Over 20,000. 16,000 have passed, and we've issued them certificates. 4,000 have failed. So what are we? Yes, 4,000 have failed.
That's a large number.
Yeah, well,
25%.
it'll be
Almost.
because some people don't pay attention. So what are we looking for? We're looking for your brake efficiencies, your brakes, your steering, your head.
Brakes meaning brake lights or
No,
brakes
the
itself?
brake itself.
The
When you
efficiency
press
of the brakes.
the efficiency of the brake.
Okay.
Minimum is 50%. You have to have it, okay, because it's a critical issue.
Brakes.
Yeah, your steering. You can turn right, turn left.
Steering.
Now,
And there's no lag.
no lag. Yeah, exactly. Your shock absorbers. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen a lot of vehicles.
Shocks.
They drive on the road and the arm comes out and the car is broken down the road. It can't move. So we look at that.
Yeah.
Now, your side mirrors, both left and right, your headlights, it's pointing in the right direction and it's not blinding people.
Headlamps.
Your tail lights, which is the brake light, so when you step on it, someone can see it visibly from behind you.
Tail lamps.
Your trafficator, as they call it here, which is the turn
Indicator.
signal. Yeah, the indicator, left and right, it's working.
Yep.
Because you have to be able to indicate you're going left or right. Your windscreen is not cracked in any way. I'm not apologetic to the fact that saying, oh, it's just a small crack. There's no such thing as a small crack. Crack-free windscreen is the law in Lagos State. Crack-free windscreen, not a small. It's just a small crack. No,
It just happened yesterday.
Well, that's why we give you days to go and fix it. You have a 30-day window to go and fix whatever it is you want to fix.
Okay.
We're not that heartless. We take into consideration people's daily lives.
Okay.
The emissions that comes out of your tailpipe
Emissions.
is critical. We have a safety standard that we must maintain in the state. So we look at that. And then minor things, your wipers,
Wipers.
your blades, have they faded? Because if you have blades that can't wipe anything, then it's absolutely useless. You're not doing anybody any favor. So those are the things. Tires. Are they bald? Those
They
are the things
expired?
those are the things that we look for.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a quick
I
one.
shall read you a checklist in a moment.
Someone is trying, Adenike Oyalo on Twitter is saying, last week, a friend tried without success to get my car checked. He was told he should have come as early as 6 a.m. I have no issue with getting cars checked, but not without the capacity which then makes life more difficult than it already is.
Okay, that's a fair question. So I told you earlier, we've seen a huge rush for whatever reason. I don't expect anybody to come there at 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Some are even saying 4:30. Even the office is not open at 4:30, so I don't know what you're doing there, to be quite honest. But going forward, Vehicle Inspection Services is going to start issuing appointments. Because we've seen from the data from the chaos in all centers that we need to re-strategize on that. So it'll be going forward by appointment only. We will give you an appointment, and if you insist you want to go to a particular center, well, you will come to that particular center that you have, but you will come there on a day that it is open and available for you to do your test. And it's on a first-come, first basis.
Okay.
There are some who have alleged some things.
Okay.
You may wish to kindly
Please.
clear. One, that when they get into any of your, I almost said shops, any of your centers, that they have to pay parking fee.
It will not be in our center.
Okay.
So the correction would be sometimes our centers are located in a local government, and in that local government, they collect a parking fee for parking inside the local government. Now, having said that, we are in dialogue with them to try and correct that issue where people that are coming for testing are not supposed to pay for parking.
Even if they're going to pay for parking, 1,500 naira is a lot, sir.
I cannot confirm that, but it is a lot. I am aware of 200, but even at that, someone coming for testing shouldn't be paying for parking, and we will try to correct and redress that issue.
Okay. Another allegation is that after the testing,
Yes.
they have to pay like 1,000 naira to get the sticker.
What sticker? I'm not aware. That is
you have
absurd.
been tested by
That's absurd.
something.
No,
Exactly.
absolutely
There is
not.
a sticker, which they
Roadworthiness sticker.
Okay, at Bagada they put it on your car anyway.
That one is free. Look, hold on a second. Let's get this clarification. Whatever vehicle inspection services does for the residents of Lagos State, it is already been paid for from the roadworthiness certificate in which you paid for. There is no extra fee that is applicable on any form level that should be accepted by anybody. And if someone is presenting you with that, please report them.
Please, are you listening? Viewers in Lagos State, do not pay anything apart from the fee you have paid for your roadworthiness certificate.
So
there is no extra fee anywhere.
Perhaps there is a need to reactivate your Twitter handle, sir, because the last time a tweet went out on Lagos State VIO was I think it's May 2021.
Well, you know we've been off Twitter for a while now, so we need to rejig that.
We've been back on for a few weeks.
Well, I've been inundated with work, so maybe that fault lies with me, but Twitter hasn't been my major concern as a president. We will get on that.
But you need to get on that because, I mean, be ready for, just as you said, be ready for some backlash.
I'm always ready for backlash. It's part of the job.
Okay. Yeah. May I read the checklist now?
Yes.
So before you go to have to attempt to get a roadworthiness certificate, please make sure that the following is in order. 1, brakes. 2, your steering wheel. 3, your shock absorbers. 4, your wing mirrors. 5, your headlamps. 6, your tail lamps. 7, your indicator, what we call trafficator in Nigeria. Yes. Make sure your windscreen is crack-free. Make sure your car does not have excess emissions. You know, that thing that we call Smoky Joe. Make sure your car is not smoking. Make sure your wipers are in order. And make sure your tires are neither bald nor expired. If all these are in order, then you can proceed to the center and see if you can get a roadworthiness certificate.
And if they are not in order and I go there and my car is impounded, what happens?
Your car will not be impounded. We don't impound vehicles that come for inspection.
Okay.
We merely tell you the status of your car, what you need to fix, and we give you a 30-day window to go and fix it
and come back.
Come back at no cost to you, provided you meet the 30-day window.
Okay, suppose someone lost his job within those 30 days and is unable to afford whatever it is that needs to be done.
Well, that's quite unfortunate. There's not much I can do about that. I would just suggest that the person leave the vehicle at home until they can afford to do that.
Okay, because at this point, they've already paid for the certificate.
Yes.
So it's at the point of inspecting that it is discovered. So,
oh dear.
So the money is valid for only 30 days. If you come back after 30.
Hold on. That's clarification.
Yeah.
The money is in 2 parts. Okay. One is for the certificate itself. If you're a private citizen, it's valid for 1 year. If you're a commercial entity, it's valid for 6 months.
Okay.
And then there's the inspection fee, which is inclusive of the fee that you pay. Now, the inspection is valid for 30 days. You are given 30-day window in which to come and get inspected. If you pass, we will give you a certificate. If you fail, we'll give you another 30 days to go and fix whatever it is that is wrong with the vehicle. I think what he was asking is, well, what if you can't fix it within the 30-day window?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, that's quite unfortunate, but I would advise you to leave the vehicle at home because it's not valid to be on the roads of Lagos.
But your money is gone.
No, the money is there.
6 months later.
No, the money is there. You come back, and then we'll test it when you are ready to go. What I'm saying is don't drive it on Lagos State roads.
Don't drive it.
Because you will get you get issued a
What
fine.
if I just happen to get caught on my way to VIO office after the expiration? Sorry.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. It's two ways. One, technically you're wrong because you shouldn't be driving a vehicle that the documents have expired. It's not an excuse. So, but then the other part is you need to be able to convince the officer if indeed you are caught in that situation. Depends on how you approach the officer. He might and might not. If he doesn't, he's well within his right not to. But most time depends on how you.
You're gonna have to retweak. You're gonna have to retweak. Come on, man. You're gonna have to. I'm on my way to your office.
But that's what you say. Because I caught you.
Yes. Well, I happen to be on my way. I'm being honest.
But
you invested trust in us. I breached it the first time. Now you invest trust in me.
But that's what I said. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street.
Well, there's a little. Well, it's not. This is not very funny, but maybe it is. Obafemi Ademuyiwa is saying, as well as Fatai Sulaiman, so we should ask you, who inspects VIO vehicles?
VIO.
That's their own vehicles are sometimes not roadworthy.
As a matter of fact, this morning, all vehicles for vehicle inspection services are at the yard getting inspected, getting maintained, and getting fitted with what they need. Like I said, there's a lot of assumption that goes on, but it's not true. We do our vehicles on a routine maintenance. Yes, we do. If you go to the headquarters yard now, you will see all of them there, assembled for inspection, for maintenance, and for the upkeep that the vehicle needs to get going on a daily basis.
You know, as I said earlier, Mr. Fashola, perhaps the issue is that of what people have known over time.
Well,
that's been very, very slow to correct. You know as well as I do that there's a huge trust deficit between the people and the government, you know, that leads them in a particular direction. So, which is why there is a need for services such as yours to increase people engagement, which is why I suggested this Twitter thing. Just one of them.
Absolutely.
You know, so that, because unless we find a way to re-engineer that trust quotient, every time we see a man wearing a white top with VIO inscriptions or colors, I'm a panic.
I agree with you, and I totally concur with your objectivity on this matter. And this is one of the reasons why we are working very hard in the Ministry of Transport to correct that anomaly, to showcase, to tell people, to let them see holistically what is going on. Anyone can come to any of the centers at any time. You can see for yourself. I'm not hiding anything. I'm here. If I take off this uniform today, I'm just a citizen or a resident just like anybody else. That doesn't make me special. It's a job. Okay, so if the job is to be transparent, I myself have to be transparent. And I'm telling people how it is.
Fix your cars like everybody else.
Yes, I do. I do it religiously.
Okay, somebody went to your office precisely 2 weeks ago, the one in Surah.
Yes.
And she paid a certain amount and she was issued receipt for another amount, which was 1,000 naira less than she had paid.
Well, could you get that person to get in touch with me?
Okay,
I
if
can
you
look
let
into
me know
that.
how to get in touch with you, she will get in touch with you.
Please do.
What are some of the issues that you have had to deal with, both within the service and outside of the service?
With customers, so to speak.
Well, it's a lot. Coming in from the inside, there's this attitude amongst the officers of neglect. But when you showcase or when you show them the proper process on how to relate to citizens, to residents, how to communicate, I think one of the biggest factors that we have inside is communication with residents. That aspect, if you look at it on, it's not I always tell my officers, it's not a personal thing. I did not wake up this morning to say I'm going to arrest you or to say I'm going to impound your vehicle. No, that's not the rhetoric. The rhetoric is always good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. You need to be professional in your approach and you need to speak with confidence and politeness to get people to listen to what you have to say. If you can explain yourself correctly and precisely, whoever it is that you are talking to is more likely to be receptive to what you are trying to pass along, as opposed to if you are nonchalant and just like brazen in your approach. There is nobody, if you explain correctly and precisely in the right approach, they will listen to what you have to say, knowing fully well that this is not a personal thing. It's not a... Lagos State government is not Engineer Fashola's personal... It's not mine. It's a job, and you need to relate and communicate that. Now, on the other side...
Before you go to that, and I hope you don't... This is not with the intention to embarrass or anything.
No, absolutely not.
What's the welfare, how vulnerable, if I can use the term, are your officers to being corrupted?
Anybody's vulnerable to corruptibility. Okay, it's the attitude and it's the mannerism in which they approach the work that gives light to that. Now, if you're talking...
My apologies, I asked that against the backdrop of what their take-home is, like what's the welfare of the officers?
Absolutely.
So that, I mean, if I'm being well paid enough to offer me 5 naira or 10 naira will be an insult that I can't take.
Absolutely. So, but here's the thing. You can be well paid and still have the mindset of taking something from people all the time.
You're right.
It bears no relevance at all. Yeah. So officers are well paid and they are well taken care of. It is an attitudinal aspect of it. Okay, so if you want to collect money from someone, yeah, you can. Anybody can do that, right? But if you're, like I said before, if your mannerism is on a professional level and you are well versed in what it is you are doing, the less likelihood that you would want to collect something from someone where it is irrelevant, right? Because how much are you collecting? The maximum you can collect from anyone at any given time, let's just say on the road, okay, give me 1,000, give me 2,000. You can't build a house on that now.
Have you had such reports within the ranks?
No. If you collect like 50 of that every day, you're on.
No, you are on. But here's the thing. At some point in time, you will get into trouble because you can't keep collecting that kind of money from people, and there will be at least one person that will say something about it.
So have you had such experience?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll deal with them appropriately. You can't have all good eggs in one basket. There are certain elements that, and we'll deal with them with the right corrective measure. Sometimes they get dismissed. Sometimes it's just a disciplinary. It just depends on the activity. Okay. Now, likewise, I would employ residents. If you are within your rights, don't offer anybody money. For what? There is nothing any officer can do to you if you are within the ambience of the law.
Well, somebody was arrested once for too much knowing his rights.
Hold on a second.
I quote, too much knowing his rights.
Okay, so I have an issue too, because a lot of times people...
He's a lawyer, by the way.
People come to me with complaints, or somebody did this, somebody did that. Okay, fine. Even if I were to accept it, can you report the person? Can you give me a name? Can you point to that person? Oh, I don't want to be the one that...
Make him lose a job.
That is absurd. Yeah. But yet you are complaining about something you don't like. Something that is in the public domain.
Nowadays, they probably have a picture of the person anyway.
Show it to me. Bring him to me.
Social media.
I can relate though. But okay, you want to talk about the flip side, the customers the other time. What are the challenges you have with them?
For the customers?
Yeah.
One thing you said, you know, some people, especially the commercial aspect, they feel if I give him...
everything will be okay.
Yeah, he will take care of me. Absolutely not. Okay, so it can happen. It does happen. But I'm saying with the process and procedures that we put in place, it's very highly unlikely that you will get a roadworthiness certificate if you don't bring it for that test. I want to see how you're going to do it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I want to see what we have put in place. You will try.
Everything's on the computer now, isn't it?
Yes, and it is almost, I didn't say impossible, almost impossible to circumvent.
Well, there you are, Lagosians.
But wait, to give you a final good news, like I said, we have 26 centers that are currently on board. Okay. We're having 4 more come online before the end of this year. And
Okay, where will the 4 be?
Unilag, the areas escape my head now, but 4 more will be made available. And we've just recently ordered 5 mobile centers that we can move around. We currently have one that's in VI right now. We move it from spot to spot. But we've gotten orders for 5 more.
There's one in VI. Where in VI?
Behind the Iru local government.
Iru, where's that?
Yes.
Oniru? Oniru, you mean?
Yeah, Oniru. Iru local government. Akimura Kwan last week.
Allow her to go and Google it.
Okay, all right.
So we have 5 more that are coming on board. That will be
this year?
This year. That will
Okay.
be this year. And we have, I lost my train.
Okay.
Mobile units.
Mobile
coming on
units,
stream.
yes.
Mobile
So
units, okay.
we'll be getting that spreading across areas where we lack deficiency in terms of land and we can't get access to land and we have a huge population there. So we can move it around from place to place.
What would you be asking people to do to support what you do?
Trust in the system. It is for everybody's good. Now, Mr. Governor is investing a lot of resources, taxpayers' resources into fixing roads, road infrastructure and all. This is a small part that will lead or lend itself to less traffic, less congestion on our roads, and better environment for our people in general.
Okay. Quickly, just before we go, your checklist: brakes, steering wheel, shock absorbers, wing mirrors, headlamps, tail lights, indicator, otherwise known as trafficator, windscreen, crack-free, emissions, wipers, and your tires. Once you have all those in order, nothing to fear.
We have 2 more comments coming from.
Okay.
You see, you're very popular. You should actually contest for an election. Well, this one is from Joseph, who says, technology is to make things easier. In a case where where one is in transit from another state and you have your roadworthiness, this is just a waste of time, as commercial vehicles are more corporate and they turn their blind eye is turned on them. I hope you get that. I mean, roadworthiness from this state and, going to the others.
I get it. Okay, so let me clarify that there's absolutely no issue with having a roadworthiness from another state. You are visiting us. You come in with your valid documents. We wave to you. Have a nice day.
What if you look at it and say, no, this one doesn't have it?
If it is not valid and it has expired, you will get a fine. You get a fine across the federation. It's not just Lagos State.
Okay.
The document is valid across the federation.
Okay. This is from Stephen. With the list of what VIS checks on vehicle, did they ever put into consideration the condition of all roads in the state? When the road is not worthy of riding on, which do have negative effects on vehicles, how can vehicles pass the tests? Vehicles that ply bad roads every day will definitely wear and tear.
It's a good point, and I must say to you that with the ongoing activities in the state, we are constantly fixing road. We will constantly be fixing road. It's not a one-time issue. It is an ongoing issue that will test till the end of worlds. We will continue to fix roads. It is a mandate of the state, and we continue to do it. We are just saying, do your little part, and we will do our little part.
Otherwise, those vehicles themselves could break on the road.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Alera, there's this second one from Stephen. What's the time frame that VIS will get all commercial vehicles that are not roadworthy off the roads or get them to meet the standards?
We'll get them gradually. Like I said before, it's the numbers.
Before the end of the year?
They're work in progress.
Well, Udeme, we've answered your question about what happens if, interstate. So
Yes.
Okay. Director of Vehicle Inspection Service, Mr. Akin George Fashola, thank you very much for coming. That was very enlightening indeed. Yes. So anybody who goes to try and get a roadworthiness certificate without all those things being in order will have themselves to blame.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Sunrise will return in just a moment with the
home stretch. We'll be back.
Right on.
We're not driving, just so you know. Okay, it's the home stretch now, and you're wondering which of them is our guest. Well, it's DJ Gosporella. You're going to have to help me with the name because I don't want to commit fraud.
Afojare Ikialose.
Yes, ma'am.
That's his name. Yes, that's him.
Bauma.
Yeah. Now you know that he's from
And they have great
Niger
meanings.
Delta. Obende. Okay.
I'm a Bendelite.
DJ Gosporella.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Bendel is Bede.
It's
Obede.
I tell her now, if they talk another thing.
It is big grammar.
They speak, it is in around glasses. Oh, sorry, it's your show, I forgot.
Am I supposed to be surprised?
It's the entertainment segment.
Obede.
It's the
I haven't
entertainment
heard that in a
segment.
long time.
That's what I know. Obede.
Bede.
Forget that thing, I will.
Now we
We know they tell us.
for we here.
Give issue.
We never
Insurance.
try you.
Make the E. I go for your hand quick.
You are a DJ. You're not a comedian. So don't tell me.
I have all rolled into one.
They don't tell me, see, for that part of Nigeria, some comedians, some comedians will fail in their career if they go to some communities.
Yes.
Because it's like they mill comedians. They mill. They produce comedians.
It's like a what do they call it? Conveyor belt.
Yes.
Yeah, the production
Conveyor
line.
belts.
Production line.
Conveyor belts. Not be belt.
For we size.
Faces.
For we size, so discussion or comedy. That kind of thing. Yeah, nah.
You are a DJ. Please, face your...
No, oh boy. The present environment we are, you can't just be saying,
Well, that video, you were not DJing.
I was musicking.
You should add comedy join the work. What you do?
And then I leave about go verse.
DJ Gosporella.
Yes, I.
You've been at this
Boy.
for like more than 3 decades.
37 years to be precise.
37 years.
Yeah.
Almost 4 decades.
Yes.
That is called...
The beginning for you. I haven't had this interview with you ever.
Oh, okay. The beginning will be in the book From the Nightclub to the Light Club. It's a book that I've just authored. It's under publishing right now.
From the...
Nightclub to the Light Club.
The lights club.
Yeah. The nightclub being the nightclubs that everybody go to. The light club being the church.
Why don't become pastor?
You don't know his name? Gosporella.
That's
What
gospel.
it is,
That's gospel real out. The source of good news. That's the meaning of Gosporella.
Before
It's an
Gosporella
acronym.
was what?
Before Gosporella, it was DJ Alfred Campbell. Yeah, yeah.
Ekwembe.
Anyway, DJing for me started from the home front. You know, I'm from a royal family, and I like to tell I'm very proud of my roots. Yeah, and in our house there was a changer that we would play during Christmas, Easter
Changer.
period.
I haven't heard that changer in like...
Yeah, it's called it's changer. Most of these people watching us might not even know what a changer is. But it's a changer, we called it, because it operated itself like a robot. You could put about 6 vinyls on top of it, and it drops one after the other.
Yeah.
That is how we started DJing in the home front. Yeah, and graduated into becoming a DJ of my home state. And then when I was in secondary school, it, just went into it until my elder brother took me out of the village and I went to Calabar. I have to emphasize the Calabar because of the way they talk in Calabar. So
How did they talk?
I don't know. Governor Odom Emmanuel is my friend, so make I know you about
But that he wasn't governor then now, so...
It doesn't matter, he's governor now.
Okay.
So you get how they talk about those people. Yes. They
How
have, they have eyes and ears everywhere.
Okay.
When I'm going to Uyo again, where I just spent my last holiday, I won't get all those things that I got. Because I talked anyhow here.
Bros, in this Lagos or Nigeria as a whole, self-preservation it is. You have to.
Anyway, as you were saying,
As I was
now
saying,
the governor
Jerry,
knows that he has something to do. He will ask you in private.
why are you going there again?
Left matter.
Make it left matter for Matthias.
Left matter for
Left
Matthias.
matter for Matthias. Make we the gist with you with the gist, yeah? It's the entertainment segment, ladies and gentlemen, so we can laugh as much as we want to. Yeah? So, well, you know, he took me to Calabar where I continued my truancy. I was supposed to go to one of the best secondary schools in Nigeria, the Hope Waddell Training Institute, where the Nnamdi Azikiwe went to. But stubbornness not allow me. So they have to throw me back to Oto. And I went back home. He didn't take anything out of me, but what he did was, when a child lives with his parents, he has this thought in his mind that he's untouchable, he has everything.
Right.
And like they will say, Piki when they carry for back, no know how road far.
Yes.
For you to know how road far, you go leave your parents, come Lagos. So I came to Lagos, so I knew how the road far. Yeah.
So what did you learn when you came to Lagos?
There is a reason why when you enter into Lagos, Lagos do not say welcome to Lagos. Lagos tells you this is Lagos.
In other words,
It's like,
in other words, shine your eye.
Wise.
Shine your eye.
brain reset.
Eko ilu ogbon.
Please, Mr. Governor. This is Lagos, it's not good enough.
No, man, it's a signature. And I think that I'm not sure now, but I think I've seen a few cities like that in the world. They don't say welcome.
Welcome to.
Say this is.
Adako reset.
Brain reset.
Many people are actually copying that from Lagos now, you know. So I went to Abia State in December. And when I was entering one of the, I didn't fly. I decided I wanted to see Nigeria.
They're not kidnapping you.
No, I'm unkidnappable. But when I know thief, no go. If I know thief, you no go happy. If you don't even try think about it, you will feed me. I will be happy living with you.
So what did you find out on your way?
So we were in all those places, and then I saw one of those. Put my father's name on the screen. The man can be angry. Igbaoma, put it there.
We can see.
Please, you know. So and I saw this is Abia. Okay, so we entered the Abia. When we entered Abia, I looked at everywhere and I said, forget this thing. This is welcome to Abia. The breeze that blows you when you enter Lagos is enough to know, for you to know that this is Lagos. It's a different breeze.
Okay.
Yeah, where you are coming from. Like when you go to my state, Edo State, for instance, where you can enter taxis for as low as 500 naira and all that. You are even sitting at the back. I was coming from the airport once and this guy took me. And then we were going and we were going and then we were going to where I was going to. I knew where I was going to. Yeah, I've not been there in a while. And in Lagos, it was, I know, to get fuel was difficult, kind of. Yeah, so he took me there and I asked him, how much for all these things? And he said 900 naira. So I asked him, do you buy fuel from the filling station like we do in Lagos?
Or you make your own fuel?
You know, I asked him and he said, yes. I mean, like the same price. He said, yes. I said, this long journey na 900 naira. He said, yes. I said, okay, I'll give you 1.5. Because in Lagos, it's 5K. Oh, sorry.
This is Lagos.
The difference is clear.
You are trying to corrupt because if I go to Gombe now and they take me the same journey, they'll say, where
300 naira.
Is it,
300 naira.
It's 300 naira in Gombe. So I now go there, they will now say, are you coming from Lagos?
You are just helping the guy. It's not because you have plenty money. But your mindset is that of, how can somebody take you on this far journey and he's taking 900 naira? Just help him with 1.5. You're a good Samaritan. That's what I did.
Yeah, I'm a Nigerian. Okay.
You are also a mentor to many young people.
Yeah.
What made you put yourself in that position and decide to give back to young people?
Experience. growing up, I was
Well, not all of us have experience, but not all
that's
of us
what
are
I'm saying,
mentors.
and that's what I'm saying. Experience. You know, when you were a bad boy, growing up, yeah, I was a bad boy, and in the process of my badness, I lost a whole lot of opportunities. Yeah, and so when I came to become who I am now, it only the opportunities that came to me. I have God has blessed me with a young face. I am 57. Yeah. So, and he has sent me to young people by virtue of what I do as a gospel music DJ. So I have lots of young people come to me all the time. So each time I see them trying to do some of those things that I did that did not pay me while I was growing, I say, sit down. Let me tell you stuff. See where you are going to? This is where it's going to end up. And the way you are carrying yourself, you will lose opportunities. The greatest virtue that anybody can have in life, no matter who you are, is humility. The moment you think you are big, and then you start to, you lose a whole, by just walking around like this, you lose a whole lot.
You know, you may not have as much understanding of the import of what you have said now.
Oh, well.
Until you go to Forbes.com. We both know that Forbes magazine is read by top corporate.
That's right. That's right.
You know, I read a good number of articles on Forbes.com.
Yes.
In fact, if you can do yourself a favor right now, just Google Forbes.com humility. The kind of information you will get there, it is said that humility is a secret of the success of top corporate leaders in the world.
Right.
So just some information for you out there. But you know, from what you have said now, what are some of the things you found out talking to these young people?
You see,
I asked that, my apologies. I asked that because your generation was perhaps a little more civilized than theirs now. So what are some
civilized
of
in quotes,
some of the peculiarities?
They call them, was it the Z generation or the Y generation?
A generation.
They just call them something that, I have or X generation.
X.
I have them in my house. Yes, and because I have them in my house, it gives me an insight into how they think and all that. They are just something else. No, those children, they don't even send you.
You have 5 of them, don't you?
Yes, I have 5. One I have never seen. I'm praying to God to show me.
What?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I give him Mama Belly, I no see him again now.
We'll come. You were talking about young people. Please go ahead. You were saying something.
Why I tell Lero the open mouth? Now, new thing.
No, but you are a gospel DJ.
Was I always a gospel DJ?
Oh, those were the naughty things you did. When you said, I was a bad boy.
Lero, you understand all these things. You understand all these things, so you just try to bring me out.
Can you take him out, talk him now?
Okay, I don't I don't have some.
You
We're
never...
on international TV, and I just open myself up like this. Yeah, I do this all the time because it's part of my power. Yes, when you open yourself up and you allow people into you, they don't have anything to hold against you anymore.
We're running out of time. So just a second. We're running out of time. So those young people, what are the things that you found?
Anyway, what I teach them, because most of them are out of focus, is what I teach them is everybody that God created and put on the face of the earth, he has given a talent. And that talent is so that a particular set of people will be blessed by it. So what you do is you do not come into my space because you think that DJ Gosporella is enjoying, he's having fun. I am fulfilling my own purpose. Yes, but you have to find your own purpose. The reason why God created you on the face of the earth and put you here. And I always say when you have found it, be focused like the eagle, be tenacious like the bulldog, and be patient like the vulture. these are some of the virtues that these young people do not have. They lack focus. They are not tenacious. The moment they try stuff and it's not working, they run to the other stuff. And I would say you do that because you have not discovered your purpose, because your purpose is something that you will do even when you are sleeping and they wake you up to say, do it, pam.
The journey to finding purpose.
Well, not too tedious for me if you ask me.
For them.
For them. So I will keep telling them, whatever it is that you can do, that you find doing, that you can do anytime and you don't mind doing it for free. That's your purpose.
DJ Gosporella has something going now.
Yes.
We've seen your video, and I don't know if it's still going to be a nice one.
Thank you.
Been in the industry and for a few days enough to know that that's a nice one.
Thank you.
We'll try to... Now that's him, by the way. I don't even know.
That's my baby. That's my goon.
Your who?
My goon.
As we were saying.
Homeboy.
So what's next?
Oh, okay. Like I just talked about my book. I'm authoring one, and I've authored one. It's under publishing right now. It will be out. By the way, this song was supposed to have been a celebratory song that we did in 2020 to celebrate our 55 years on Earth and 35 years in the industry. Yes, we are going to use it to
royal we.
We are going to use it to bring a lot of people together, then do a whole lot of stuff, celebrate, and you were supposed to be there, and all that was to invite you as well, Auntie Alero. No, I've known him for a while, so so you were supposed to be there and all that. We didn't do that because COVID came in and then a whole lot of stuff. Okay, aside from that, we're also looking at, we are thinking that it's about time that the gospel community is brought together under one roof and celebrated via an award. And we are working on that as well right now. Everything is almost set. The reason why we've not brought it out is because we believe that a pregnant woman does not say I'm pregnant. When the pregnancy, it will show itself. Wait till I talk.
What is it about you, Niger Delta people?
Oh, God.
Alero, what is it about you?
Wait till I talk.
You just have to open somebody's teeth.
Pregnant woman does not have to say
You don't have to announce that you are
now.
pregnant. When we
Everybody
see you,
get eye now.
we go no say you are pregnant.
We go see am.
So that's the reason. It's been there since 2020. 2019, we've been working on it underground, making sure that the roots are in the right places and getting connected to the right people. So before it comes out. So when it eventually comes out, and I've said that
when the pregnant woman
when
born,
they go born pikin,
we go see the pikin.
and the pikin when he go born, if not from royal family, he must wear crown.
It's time to get this guy out of the studio, please.
God is great.
What did I do?
Nothing.
Okay.
DJ Gosporella, premier gospel music disc jockey with
sir.
more than 3 decade experience and several awards in the kitty. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for your time this morning and all the best all the time. And our regards to His Royal Highness.
My father will not die.
That wraps up Sunrise this morning. Okay, it's going to be noon in about 5 minutes. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And bye for now. I'm Ayo Makinde.
And I'm Alero Edu, wishing you a very brilliant week indeed. Bye-bye.